This is realtorleaven with Keller Williams. This is your home buyer series, How to Buy a Home in Maryland. So, an introduction to me. I have been in real estate since 2002. I service Virginia, Maryland, and DC clients. I have done the loan closings. I have sold homes. I specialize in first-time home buyers, empty nesters, and investors. Reason why I got into real estate is to help people find their home and to upgrade to a new home or to downsize. I love people and I love homes, and my goal is to wow my clients and not only keep them as have a business relationship with them, but actually stay in contact with them and become their realtor and their friend for life. That's what it's all about. And when I'm not in real estate, I would consider myself a social butterfly. Currently I have two meetup groups. I have Woodbridge Live. I try to have at least, two events a month with that group. And I also have another group called Harbor to Harbor Live, which is based in Maryland. That's just getting started. And I also teach seminars and first-time home buyer seminars and workshops. So let's talk about real estate. Are you ready to buy a home? I mean, this is an important question that you have to ask yourself. So if you have been in the same line of work for at least 2 to 3 years, and you have no long-term debts or collections, you have a savings or a means of obtaining a down payment. Now, there are programs which we'll get into later, but you need to have some, as they say, skin in the game. So you have to have some of your own money, but there are programs for pretty much everyone. But we just have to make sure that you're in the guidelines for that. And you actually have to have the ability to pay for, a monthly mortgage every month plus additional costs, because it's not just your mortgage payment. It's more than that. It's maintenance on the house. If something happens, you want to make sure that you're not house poor. That's what it's about. So the levels of home buying. First, you need to get pre-approved. Then you need to meet with a realtor, and that's where you have a buyer consultation, and you will hire an agent to work for you. If you don't hire an agent to work for you, they have no loyalty to you, and they're not going to show you property because they actually cannot, because it's the law. They have to. You actually have to hire an agent. Your tour homes is the next level, and then you will submit an offer to purchase. I say offers because in today's market, being that, all real estate is localized, but every community is different, and you may have a multiple offer situation where you may lose out on, one or two houses before you find the one. So I'm always asked, well, how long is it going to take? I mean, it really just depends. It could take a short amount of time. It could take a long time, just depending on the market and what's going on at that time. Next is the ratifications as a section. Well, that's when that's when everybody has signed off on everything, and you do your home inspection, then the appraisal comes back, you review your HOA or condo documents if you're buying in that type of community, and then you remove all contingencies, and the last part is your final walkthrough and closing. And that's where you get your keys. So, determining your housing needs. You want to write out what is your ideal place to live. What's important? Do you need to be close to work? Do you need to have 4 bedrooms? Do you need to have 3.5 baths? How much closet space do you need? Do you have to have a garage? Do you need to be near public transit? Do you does your kids have to go to the same school that they're going to right now? Is that a big deal to you? If not, then you have to, formulate all of those things and get it down to in a generalized area, because you don't want to be all over the place. And then you want to think about, well, how long is it going to take you to get to work? Do you want to be 5 miles out? Do you want to be 25 miles, no more than 25 miles? And what does that mean to you? I mean, 25 miles in every direction, or from this city, 25 miles to your office. So you have to figure out how long that's going to be for you. So who's who in a real estate transaction? So we have a grantee and a grantor, which a buyer is the grantee, which is the person purchasing the house. The grantor is the seller, which is the person selling the home. Real estate agents. So a selling agent, also called a listing agent, which is commonly confused, is a person who earns commission on the sale of the home from the seller. The buyer's agent is a person that earns a commission for the purchase of the home. Either real estate agent may be a certified realtor or a lawyer specializing in real estate. A home inspector is a person that inspects the home for defects and reports the condition with photos and a full report. The home appraiser is a real estate professional that researches like properties to obtain a dollar value. There is a standard appraisal criteria to obtain a home's worth. The appraisal is the essential documents of the loan approval. So if you're buying a house and the contract price is $250,000 and it is not appraised, it comes in $5,000 less, then you would have to go through the negotiation phase again. You'll have to either decide whether you want to pay the extra money or get an appraisal amendment, or it's several things that your realtor can walk you through the process, or I can if you hire me. A lender is the bank or mortgage company. Unless you're paying cash, that's the most important person in the transaction other than your agent. They research the credits and they approve you based off of the type of home and your ability to pay the funds back. And there's a settlement agent. This can be a title company or an attorney that conducts the settlement, which is also called a closing, which is the final meeting with all the parties involved, which is the formal exchange where the property and funds legally change hands. So you can close on a house without the seller being there, vice versa. It can be a split settlement. I've had them either way, where the buyer and the sellers are there. So it may be in your case that you never see the seller, especially if you purchase a new home. You won't see the seller. They're not there. So next, you want to get your approval letter. These are the essential documents. This is a basis. The lender may ask you for additional information, but this is a guideline to let you know what you're going to need. So you're going to want your last 2 months of pay stubs, your last 2 years of tax returns. They need to be filed because they're going to pull a transcript. If they're not there, then the deal is done. So you make sure that they're there. Everything's good with that. Your information on long-term debts, which they'll find this from your credit report. But if there are errors or blemishes in your credit, then you need to write an explanation of what transpired or why your credit is like this or what changed and all of that. Your recent bank statements, they may ask for 2 months, usually 1, because they'll have to update it for your loan file as it gets closer to closing. You want to have proof of any other income, such as, alimony, child support, all those kinds of things. Employment history. How long have you been working? Have you only been working a year? Did you change jobs? Because that may cause a problem. So in your consultation, you need to be upfront with the agent that you're interviewing to make sure that everything's fine with that. And the address and description of the property you wish to buy, you wouldn't have this when you get your approval letter, but that's a part of the process in your ratified contract, which you would get after you find the house that you want. So a buyer consultation with a realtor. So hiring an agent to fulfill your expectations is very important. You may decide to interview several agents before choosing the right fit. During a homebuyer consultation with me, I will meet you at a Keller Williams Realty office that we agree on, either at my office or another office in Virginia, Maryland, or DC. We will go over my real estate experience and services offered as your realtor. We'll find out your needs and wants in the home, review a budget analysis. I do this with all clients because it's important to understand what you're spending now to what you will be spending. So to have a clear expectation, and my previous clients, they love it and I give it to them. By no means do I judge my clients. It's what you're spending, because people really don't realize what they're spending. So it's very important to know that and to keep a budget. Create a home search and view available homes in your price range. Review the buyer representation agreement and other paperwork. If you decide to hire me as your agent, we'll do that then. And I'll introduce you to a preferred lender that best fits your needs. Sometimes that comes before we meet, but sometimes not. So it doesn't necessarily, the lender piece doesn't necessarily have to happen at the consultation. It can happen before. So there are two ways to search for real estate with me. You can search online on my website, or you can download my app to your mobile device. At realtorleaven.com, you can look for properties, you can find out information about schools, about loan programs. It's a wealth of information for you to learn about different things. And on the app, you can find properties based on your location. So say you're at work and you want to say, oh, well, what's near me? You just search nearby homes or nearby rentals if you're looking for a rental. And it will find based off of the area that you are 2 miles out, so you can see exactly what's around you, just if you're curious. Or if you go home, you can do the same thing because it's GPS enabled on your cell phone. So, making an offer time. Due to the demand of housing and the competitive market, you may have to submit several offers. Items needed to make an offer to purchase a home. You'll need to have a copy of your approval letter, which will identify the type of financing that you're going to have, which is FHA, conventional, or VA. So, which you already have that at that point. You'll check for earnest money deposit. It can be a certified check or a personal check, which will be held in escrow until settlement. The amount is typically 1% of the sales price. So, for example, if you're offering $200,000 to purchase a house, then the earnest money needed would be $2,000. And that money will be held in escrow until the end of the contract. That money will be credited towards your closing costs, but that money has to be there. Then you have your initials and signatures on the contract that requires all the addendums and states all the contingencies regards to the contract. And then you will have, after everything has been signed and initialed and the seller has agreed, that's when the contract will be considered ratified. So then you would have the ratification, which is the process after all parties have agreed to the contract. So, ratification period. What's going to happen next? Your earnest money deposit check will be deposited within 3 days of acceptance. So if you needed to move money around, you can, but during that time before it's ratified, you need to make sure the money is moved because by law it has to be in the escrow account. You'll have a copy of the ratified contract, which will be sent to the loan officer, and the appraisal and title work will be ordered by the loan officer and the title company. A home inspection will be needed to be conducted and report reviewed within the time specified. Because if you don't get the home inspection done in time and you don't ask for an extension on that, then you would lose that contingency, and if something comes up, you can't get out of the contract based on that. So, once the contract is ratified and everyone has agreed on the terms, time is of the essence. It's important to meet all deadlines and appointment schedules. Contingencies. What is a contingency? A contingency in real estate could be one or all of the following items below. A home inspection. Contingency. So the contract is contingent upon the home inspection, meaning If you're buying a house and it's something that you don't like, if the sellers don't agree to those items and give you credits or not, then you would have the option to withdraw your contract. But keep in mind, you're not going to get that home inspection money back, so it's in your best interest to try to work it out, to have a meeting of the minds, so to speak. A financing contingency. All financing qualifications have been met and the lender has issued what is called a full commitment to lend to you. So even though you've gotten your pre-approval and everything, until you get that full commitment or clear to close from the lender, they're not going to lend the money to you. But I'll be there to help you every step of the way, so there's not a stressful thing. But anything they ask you to do, you need to do it. Don't ask questions, just do it. Well, ask questions, but if they need a required document for the file, you need to try to do everything in your power to get that to them. Your home appraisal. The contracts are contingent upon that because the home must appraise at the value in order to proceed with the transaction. So if the house doesn't appraise, or if it appraises for more money, you don't have to pay more money. That's just good. You have equity in the house at that point. But if it doesn't appraise, then that's where we have to go back and say, well, it didn't appraise. Either we'll have to, come up with some more comparables to say, well, the house is valued at this, and that's my job to do that for you. So then, third-party approval. This occurs when you have a short sale. REO are also called a bank-owned sale. That's when another party has to give a final approval on the sale of the property with regards to value and contract documents. Closing period. This will likely be the first opportunity for you to look at the house without furniture. Things look a whole lot different when things are staged and things are covering up things. So you want to get a clear view and look at every little detail, because you'll see things a whole lot differently after you got your keys and you're excited and you go back and say, oh, I didn't see that hole in the wall, or I didn't see that. So that's your point to, check for walls and ceilings carefully and make sure that anything that the seller was going to do that was agreed upon is completed and you have receipts and warranties for those items. Any problems discovered previously that you find uncorrected should be brought up prior to closing, because at that point the documents have been drafted and it's just you just have to do that on time. It is the seller's responsibility to fix the items that they agreed to. That's just, and I call this the most important walk of your life. This is the walk that you do. This is going to be your house. You're ready to rock and roll. You have everything in line. You're clear to close tomorrow or in the next few days. You're going to get your keys. So this is your house. Like, wow, you did it. You made the biggest purchase of your life. So this is the most important walk of your life. This is where you're going to live for, 3 to 5 years, or, 30 years. Depends on what you want to do. So closing. What are you going to get at closing? You're going to get a settlement statement, HUD-1 form, which itemizes all the services and fees charged to you by the closing agent, and it must be given to you at or before closing for your review. You'll get a truth in lending statement, you get a copy of your deeds and other loan documents, and you will get your keys to your new home. So, let's talk about first-time home buyer programs in Maryland. So, there is the USDA development loan, which is 100% financing, which means there's no down payment. But with this type of loan, the property has to be in an eligible area, meaning all areas don't apply for this. So you have to go on the map and find out if the property is even eligible. It's a limited area, limited zip code cities, but I can send that information to you if you wish. So there's a first-time home buyer program with the Atlanta Bank, which you can get up to $5,000 towards down payment and closing cost assistance. There is the American Dream Down Payment Initiative, which is also called ADDI program. It's a loan for up to $5,000 for a down payment and closing cost assistance. It's a 5-year forgivable loan at 0% interest. There's a down payment and settlement expense loan program with CDA, which is a loan up to $5,000. This loan is also a 5-year forgivable loan. There is a home buyer education class, and the property must be purchased in Maryland. There is a program for veterans, the Veteran Home Buying Program with Atlanta Bank as well, up to $7,500 in down payment and closing cost assistance. So, the credit unions, they have 100% financing programs. Did you know that? Navy Federal, you can finance up to $1 million with no PMI, which PMI is private mortgage insurance. And right now they're still giving $2,500 towards closing costs. There is NASA Federal. You can finance up to $650,000 with no PMI. There's Tower Federal Credit Union. Finance up to $417,000 with no PMI. Grants and other loans are allowed, and there is a minimum buyer contribution of $500. There is the Northwest Federal Credit Union loan, and you can finance up to $417,000, but PMI is required with this product. So, Charles County, they have the Community Development Block Program, which you can get up to $15,000 in funds. It's a 5-year loan with 0% interest. Prince George's County, they have the My Home and the My Home 2 program. You only can purchase in Prince George's County, though, for this loan. So the loan is up to 5% of the purchase price. There are debt and income limitations. Resale, foreclosures, short sales, and new construction are eligible for purchase. Keep in mind, though, if you stay in for the house for 10 years and the property remains your primary residence, you do not have to pay the money back. Now, I don't know if this is going to change, but as of right now, that is the rule. So the loan limits, which is resale, which is considered the following. If the home is listed on the MLS, if it's a foreclosure or short sale, it's considered resale. So you can't go over $295,000. If you get new construction, so that's a Ryan home, a Lennar, or something else, you can go up to $370,000. Keep in mind, you still have to make sure that you are qualified for that. So even though they say you can go up to that, you still have to fall within the limits. There is the City Lift program with Wells Fargo and Neighborhood Works. This is $20,000 for down payment in Prince George's County. It's a 0% interest rate. The program is forgivable at 20% each year for 5 years. So as long as you stay in the house for 5 years, you don't have to pay the money back. They are limited on funding for the City Lift program. As of right now, I'm not sure how much money they have left, but it may be an option for you. There is the Bowie Mortgage Assistance Program. This is good for city employees, police officers, and teachers. This is a $2,000 grant to purchase primary residence. The home must be purchased in Bowie. Montgomery County, the Mortgage Purchase Program with the Housing Opportunities Commission. They are offering up to 3% of the sales price to purchase a home in Montgomery County. The max sales price is $429,619. There is a home buying class required. And I thank you so much for spending the time with me to learn about these programs. And there may be additional programs as well to get in contact with me to learn more information about them. But if you are ready to meet me in person, I would be happy to meet you. Give me a call at 703-474-1754. I am social, so you connect with me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, and add me to your professional network, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you for attending this home buyer webinar for Maryland Real Estate. I wish you the best in your real estate endeavors, and I hope to have the opportunity to be your agent for life. This